Hello, and welcome to the first of hopefully a long-running series, if I stay disciplined, on the subject of my voice and its journey through discovering the effects of abstaining from wankery. Because that's something I have duly noticed. I have this app here, Voice Pitch Analyzer, and I got it from this here website, voicepitchanalyzer.en.apptone, and it was taken off from the Play Store without warning. I swear I had it installed a while ago, just out of curiosity. And so a few days ago, I have one recording with these results, minimum average of 108 Hz, I believe that's hertz, and a max average of 146 hertz with an overall average of 125 hertz. So with all that in mind, let's see where that puts me on the scale. Mostly male, which is good news, because that's matching my physicality. Yeah, the bodily traits I was born with. And so, in the interests of not sounding like a goddamn pansy, I'm gonna cut out the wankery, and I want to be able to track if there is any progress, or if I'm bound to sound the same regardless. Now, a good way to test that would be doing the app's test, right? The only problem is it gives me this to read and record and analyze. And this text, I've looked over it before, it's atrocious. The writing is abysmal. So I took the liberties of taking a few pictures from the only book I've kept with me. My other books are in storage. And that book is a downright classic. It is the Penguin Sherlock Holmes collection, book number 1, A Study in Scarlet by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. And it has been dubbed the literary super sleuth by the Daily Express. So, let's, I have 3 pages, the first 3 pages of the book, grabbed, preserved for reading, and I'll read it all from page 1 to 3 now, and then in a week's time, thereabouts, I'll read it again. And in a week's time, thereabouts from then, I'll read it again. And if I keep this up and I make sure to properly restrain myself from bad habits, I'm curious to see the results, and I'm sure plenty of others are as well. So let's turn on the app, and hopefully it should be recording even when I change my screen. And the green dot in the upper right is still on, so let's begin. All right. The Penguin Sherlock Holmes collection, A Study in Scarlet by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, dubbed a literary super sleuth by the Daily Express. Chapter 1, Mr. Sherlock Holmes, page 3. In the year 1878, I took my degree of Doctor of Medicine of the University of London and proceeded to Netley to go through the course prescribed for surgeons in the army. Having completed my studies here, I was duly attached to the 5th Northumberland Fusiliers and assistant surgeon. Assistant surgeon? Right off the get-go. Now that's outstanding. I wonder what rank he was given. Anyways, that's not reading from the text. The regiment was stationed in India at the time, and before I could join it, the Second Afghan War had broken out. On landing at Bombay, I learned that my corpse had advanced through the passes and was already deep in the enemy's country. I followed, however, with many other officers who were in the same situation as myself, and succeeded in reaching Kandahar. Kandahar, not Chan. Sorry, let me start over. I followed, however, with many other officers who were in the same situation as myself, and succeeded in reaching Kandahar in safety, where I found my regiment, and at once entered upon my new duties. The campaign brought honors and promotion to many, but for me it was nothing but misfortune and disaster. I was removed from my brigade and attached to the Berkshires, with whom I served at the faithful Battle of Maiwand. There I was struck in the shoulder by a Jezzail bullet, which shattered the bone and grazed the subclavian artery. Subclavian artery. Yeah. So let me start over. There I was struck in the shoulder by a Jezzail. Wow, my goodness. What is that word? Jezzail bullet. Okay. There I was struck in the shoulder by a Jezzail bullet, which shattered the bone and grazed the subclavian artery. I should have fallen into the hands of the murderous, I don't even know how to say that, Gazis? Yeah, so let's start over. I should have fallen into the hands of murderous Gazis had it not been for the devotion and courage shown by Murray, my orderly, who I should have fallen into the hands of the murderous Gazy had it not been for the devotion and courage shown by Murray, my orderly, who threw me across a pack horse and succeeded in bringing me safely to British lines. Worn with pain and weak from prolonged hardships which I had undergone, I was removed with a great train of wounded sufferers to the base hospital at Peshawar. Here I rallied and had already improved so far as to be able to walk about the wards and even to bask upon the Vandahar. Veranda. Vandahar, Jesus. Reading skills, let's improve them. That'll be an added benefit to this series, is having practice for improving my fluency with reading text aloud. Here I rallied and had already improved so far as to be able to walk about the wards and even to bask a little upon the veranda, when I was struck down by enteric fever, that curse of our Indian possessions. For months my life was despaired of, and when at last I came to myself and became convalescent, I believe that's the word. I'm pronouncing it terribly though. Let's start over. For months my life was despaired of, and when at last I came to myself and became convalescent, I was so weak and emaciated that the medical board determined that not a day should be lost in sending me back to England. I was dispatched accordingly in the troop ship Orontes? Yeah, I believe that's it. Let's start over. I was dispatched accordingly in the troop ship Orontes and landed a month later on the... there is no word "the" there. There's on Portsmouth Jetty. Starting over. I was dispatched accordingly in the troop ship Orontes and landed a month later on Portsmouth Jetty, with my health irreversibly ruined, but with permission from paternal government to spend the next 9 months in an attempt to improve it. I had neither kith nor kin in England, and was therefore as free as air, or as free as an income of 11 shillings and 6 pence a day will permit a man to be. Under such circumstances, I naturally gravitated to London, and that great cesspool... Starting over. Under such circumstances, I naturally gravitated to London, and that great cesspool into which all the loungers and idlers of the empire are irresistibly drained. There I stayed for some time at a private hotel in the Strand, leading to a comfortless, meaningless existence, and spending as much money as I had, considerably more freely than I ought. So alarming did the state of my finances become that I soon realized that I must either leave the metropolis and rusticate somewhere in the country, or that I must make a complete alteration in my style of living. Choosing the latter alternative, I began by making up my mind to leave the hotel and take up my quarters in some less pretentious and less expensive domicile. We're beginning to see sense with Mr. Watson. Brilliant. This is not the text, this is my commentary. Let's keep the commentary to a minimum. Otherwise, we'll be here since the ending, or until the ending. Not since, until. Words, come on. Until the ending of the universe. On that very day, I had come to this conclusion. I was standing at the Citerian bar. Jesus. Let's start over. On that very day that I had come to this conclusion, I was standing at the Citerian bar when someone tapped me on the shoulder, and turning round, I recognized young Stamford, who had been a dresser under me at Bart's. The sight of a friendly face in the great wilderness of London is a pleasant thing indeed to a lonely man. That wasn't smooth enough. Let's read that over. The sight... If it wasn't smooth enough by that sentence, then I might as well start from the beginning. Jesus. Anyways, for next week's improvement. The sight of a friendly face in the great wilderness of London is a pleasant thing indeed to a lonely man. In old days, Stamford had never been a particular crony of mine, but now I hailed him with enthusiasm, and he, in turn, appeared to be delighted to see me. In that exuberance of my joy, I asked him to lunch with me at the Holborn, and we started off together in a hansom. "Whatever have you been doing with yourself, Watson?" he asked in an undisguised wonder as we rattled through the crowded London streets. "You are as thin as a lathe and as brown as a nut." I gave him a short sketch of my adventures, and had hardly concluded it by... Too halting. Start over. I had given him a short sketch of my adventures, and had hardly concluded it by the time that we reached our destination. "Poor devil," he said, commiseratingly, after he had listened to my misfortunes. "What are you up to now?" "Looking for lodgings," I answered, trying to solve the problem as to whether it is impossible to get comfortable rooms at a reasonable price. "That's a strange thing," remarked my companion. "You are the second man today that has used that expression to me." "And who was the first?" I asked. "A fellow who is working at the chemical laboratory up at the hospital. He was bemoaning himself this morning because he could not get someone to go halves with him." And that's where we end it. He was, well. Ain't that a pisser, isn't it? Well, partially regrettable, admittedly. I'm actually, I'm so wrapped up and engaged in the story now, I almost want to read the entire book in one sitting. However, that's absurd for these purposes, so we'll end it there, alright? And if it really does come down to it, that there does become such a demand for me to read the book from start to finish, then I'll go about it. But this series is not about reading the book to get engrossed in the story. The purpose of the series is to read quality material, to get good at reading quality material, so as to judge the state of my voice, basically. So we'll leave it at that and end the app's recording. Let's see if it still is recording. Yes, it is. And the results, drum roll, please. Bang. Wow, that's very well near to the original recording I had. So, since this is the start of the series, my average is 125, and my range is quite wide. At least we didn't even touch the androgynous range, which is quite disconcerting. My range also does go quite low, but it also goes quite high. So this is the start of the series and the start of me attempting to form healthy, decent habits of restraint and discipline. So no doubt that'll have a positive effect. Let's see the other categories. Pitch over time. Oh, gosh golly. Oh, dearie, oh my. 200 in about 10 seconds. 210 seconds? Things really... Gosh. I guess that's when it just stopped recording. So it didn't record for the whole time? Or I'm a little confused anyways. And there we are. So let's delete the old one, and we'll keep today's at the 1st of May. The 1st of May. We got a minimum average of 99 hertz, a maximum average of 158, and an overall average of 126. So that is the first episode. Bye for now.